Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ronald Hunt. I'm a catalyst coach, which means that I help people implement change in their lives. Today's broadcast is a collaboration. I'm going to be joined with Tannia Gonzalez, who is an amazing, amazing person from Canada, who is a member of one of my networking groups called Movement Makers. I'm looking for her to join, but I'm not getting the interface on Instagram, so I'm going to have to put my glasses on for a second. Let's see if I don't have a request to join. Tannia, you have to request to join. So Movement Makers has a collaboration program. The collaboration program is that we are supposed to go live 3 times every month on a specific topic. And today's topic is leadership. And here to talk about leadership is Tannia, but
Hi.
I'm going to throw her some curveballs because we've both been talking about leadership all month long with people.
Yeah,
So we might do it a little bit differently today if the audience allows us to.
yeah, I'm game.
Awesome. Tannia, I've watched your success and your rise and your leadership over the past 6 months in Movement Makers.
Oh,
And I'm very impressed, but I think that we have some lessons that we can help other people with based on your structures and I like to say buckets, because you're a mom, you've got at least how many businesses?
I do work on a law firm, like immigration law firm, and that's my main source, like my that's my life, right? And
Sure.
I'm a mom. I have 2 kids, one 7 and one 10, and now I'm part of Movement Makers, which is something that it's very close to my heart, and I've grown so much uh, as
And
part of this group.
you've also upped your game with salsa dancing.
Oh yes.
Now, is that new, or is that based on the Movement Makers connections you have? How did that come about?
Oh no, actually, well, no, I've been, let's say that I've been dancing my whole life. However, I always had in my mind that I wanted to dance like as beautiful as, you see those dancers. And that was what I always aimed to. However, I never really took action on that for so many reasons. One of those is that back in my country, I'm from Latin America, I'm from Ecuador. When you if you said like many years ago, I want to learn to dance, everybody will be like, what? But you know how to dance, right? Because we all dance over there.
We're born dancing in South America. All my all,
Yeah.
all my friends, yes.
But that's the thing, like it's not it's a very casual type of dancing, but I wanted to learn all that little techniques and things that make dancing so beautiful. So I never really when I was very little, I did ballet some for some brief time, and for reasons that I didn't understand at that time. I was around 6 years old. I couldn't continue doing my ballet classes, but I always remembered. I always had that freedom and that happiness and that empowerment that you feel when you dance. I never forgot about it. So I always kind of like had that feeling that I want to go back to dancing, but I made other choices. That's the truth. I decided to go to to focus on law school. I studied law. It's a very demanding career. I had to focus. I was working at the same time, and soon after I moved to North America, and things happen in life, and I never paid attention to that dream. But more recently, some 3 or 4 years ago, I was living at that time in Ecuador again. I've moved a lot. So I was again in Ecuador, and I was about to move to Canada. And I said, you know what? I need to learn because I'm not going to find a place to dance in Canada. That was what I was thinking. It's going to be difficult to find a place where I can dance salsa in Canada. So I need to learn. So I finally stopped in this place where I've seen so many times many times. And I would see these dancers, beautiful dancers, very, and I was like, no, I'm not a dancer. Like, I'm not like my time passed. It's not my moment to go back to it. So I would go, I will never stop in that dancing school until for some reason I decided, okay, I'm making a big move, a big change in my life right now. I don't want to abandon that dream. I at least want to have a taste of what it is. So one day I was driving by that dancing school, and I stopped, and I got into, like, I stormed into, they were having classes. I waited until they finished. I was amazed of how these ladies were dancing. And I talked to the instructor, and he is a very like seasoned instructor over there, like someone with a lot of experience. He's Colombian, Kike Gaitan, and he has taken the country to competitions and all that. So I felt very intimidated. So the first thing I said is, I know I'm not a dancer. I'm not planning to compete. I just want to learn at least something. And he was like, okay, well, let's start. I paid right away. Like, I didn't want to have like moments of doubt. There's, okay, register me. I had a surgery plan. So I was, the great things sometimes show up in the most inconvenient times. So I had, finally made a decision, and I had a surgery coming the next week. So I went through the surgery, but I already had paid the classes. Finally, I recovered from the surgery, and my mom was like, are you crazy? You're about to move to another country. You just had surgery in your legs. Why do you want to go and learn to dance salsa right now? Like, you already know how to dance. Are you crazy? I was like, I don't care. I don't want to listen to anybody, because so I'm just gonna do it. And finally, I started taking classes. So I managed to take like a couple months over there, and I moved to Canada. And the first thing that I did when I moved to Canada, after learning my lesson, don't postpone your dreams, I went straight to look for a dancing school, which was just there in the mall across my building. And guess what? It was Toronto Dance Salsa, which is Evan Carmichael's company. Like
it was his company. He's still a partner in it. But
exactly.
I want to take some leadership tips out of this, because you did something called cleaning up incomplete.
Yeah.
You when you were 6 years old and you stopped dancing, you knew in your heart that you meant to do this. And as you said, life gets in the way. But
Yes.
you circled back, and even though you had adversity, because and we'll get into this in just a little bit, you pursued it, and you knew that if you didn't do it that day, it might be another decade before you had that same confluence of events where you could convince yourself that somehow I can take the time to learn how to do this. And you've succeeded exceptionally well. I'm so impressed with your dancing. But that, again, this is a parallel. You help immigrants, and you do it with such a way. You have this charisma. You have this enthusiasm. When I'm coaching someone up, they often say that that I believed in myself because you believed in me and showed me how to do it. Mm-hmm. And that is a form of leadership too. But I got to earn that with the gray hair and the decades of experience. You are more of an influencer leader. And influence is the most important thing in leadership. And I don't know how many conversations you've had like this month, but
Awesome.
I wanted to circle this around to you so that you could take some credit, because none of us take enough credit in this life. But the way that you influence and lead is so important to a subset of people who need it so much. And that is really what leadership is the ability to get people to do things for their own good or for a greater good.
Oh, that's, thank you so much. I really appreciate your words, and I accept them humbly, because you're right. So many times you are like, whenever someone gives a kind word for something that you do, our first reaction is to say no. No. It's, it's just luck, or it's just, and it's not. It's not luck. Most of us, we work hard to be in a position. So I think that I'm a leader in training. That's how I would define it. Because I'm not yet the person I ambition, but I'm learning how to be it and how to, be a better version of myself, for my kids, for my clients, for my community. So that's why I said I'm a leader in training. I'm not yet that,
Now you haven't self-identified, but if you actually start getting up in the morning and say, I lead people, I lead a team, and just say it for a week or so, it's because it actually works that way. If we can get you to visualize it just a little bit more, you will accept it. And I'm going to show you another way that you're a leader right now that no one probably has done this month. I've noticed you've got partners in at least one of your businesses, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And every so often I see you post, I had this idea and other people didn't agree, but we did it anyway. and it worked out, didn't it?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
So, but leaders have to initiate. They have to have the influence that other people can see that they have learned something along the way that would be beneficial to either themselves or others, and they will buy into it and participate and maybe modify the original dream just a little bit so that everyone's happy.
Yes, that is correct. I agree with that statement. When you lead, it's because you have a vision of what can be, how can you do things better? And it's not always easy to make others share that vision, and that's something that we earn with time. And
exactly,
in the beginning, it's a leap of confidence, and I really thank you for having the people I have around me that in the end take this leap of confidence in doing things that sometimes are not yet there's no evidence that are going to work. And that is probably something that it's not my merit, having people around me that it's willing to try as well, and willing to be leaders in their own space to go along with me in the things that I sometimes invite them to do. So yes, I do have it.
It's super interesting because there's a science behind it. And there's actually 5 reasons why teams or people don't change. And one of the chief reasons is uncertainty. So either they don't know there's a better way of doing things, or they know that what they're doing is kind of working, getting the job done, and that's my dogs. and the fear of doing something different gets them stuck, because they know the current situation and they know the workarounds, even if it's not optimized. Mm-hmm. So that you have again, we circle back. There is a certain thing that leaders have. They have a certain charisma. They communicate. They show by their past actions, and this is where you talk about experience. When you get experience, when you've done something for change in the past, you can use that as an example for your team. Remember how we tried to do this 6 months ago, and we had some pushback, but we worked through it, and everything ended up working out a little bit better. We take chances in life because we cannot manage change otherwise.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the whole secret to life is to take the educated chances, the ones that have the higher possibilities of working out with little risk or smaller risks, until a team identifies the leader or works cooperatively to do leadership that way. So it's very cool. I study leadership, as I said. I study the science of change, and I think they're so incredibly connected.
And now I wanna ask you something, because that's true. I work with immigrants, and I know that you are very well versed in what's the imposter syndrome. And immigrants, like everyone, goes through this feeling at some point in time. And for example, me as a dancer, at the beginning I really couldn't call myself as a dancer, because I was just like, I don't. And finally, after some years of practicing, I can say, well, yes, I'm a dancer. I'm not, I'm still learning and all that, but I can call myself. Immigrants go through also a big challenge when they move, since they leave behind their network, they leave behind their family, they leave behind their culture and all. They come to a different country, they start a new life, and they face so many imposter syndromes. One of them is, a leader. How can I be a leader if I'm in a place that I don't know much about? And later on, even when they have spent some time in that country, look at this. Sometimes we become even citizens of a country, and we're still facing that imposter syndrome. And when someone asks you, where are you from? You answer, I'm from my country of birth. Okay, and you are feeling like, I don't feel yet ready to say I'm Canadian, or I'm, American, or I'm from this or that country, because we do face this imposter syndrome. So can you explain a little bit of what happened in the mind and in the thought process of immigrants, and what can they do to finally feel adjusted to the new place and can confidently call themselves, I am Canadian, I am, American, or whatever country?
Absolutely. And again, from my studies in leadership and from working with big and small organizations, the best thing you can do is volunteer work in your new community. Even though you may be receiving resources from other people in your new community, the best way that you can get over imposter syndrome is to help someone with less than you have. Mm-hmm. So, and it not only warms in your heart, but it engages your brain, and it teaches you a lot about leadership. I'm going to circle back, because if you're in a volunteer organization, no one needs to be there. There's no financial gain. You're not getting paid at the end of the shift usually. Mm-hmm. Your satisfaction is that somebody who needs help has gotten help. So if you can lead in those situations, it translates into business. It translates into marriages. There has never been a great leader who gets above a certain level who does not volunteer some time back. So that is the best way. Perhaps a new immigrant learned a lot of English before they got here, which is uncommon. But if they did, they can help other immigrants with English or French as a second language. Mm-hmm. And again, if you've gotten a better job, if you've moved up a little bit, maybe you can donate your children's clothing to the next immigrants who've got babies coming into the country. There's always something you can do, because by participating in the new society,
correct,
you're not only building up the muscle of joining, but you've got pride of ownership. And this is one of the most important things that anyone in a new job or in a new community can do, is to see the places where they can help other people, because it ends up helping us just as much, doesn't it?
Is it totally? And I can totally vouch that when you move to a new country, a new place, we are, for example, in Latin America, volunteer work is not something that common, let's say, because there's always so many things going on, like a survival societies. Volunteer is not something that many people is engaged. But you must know that when you come to North America, being a volunteer is something very valuable, and donating your time is so appreciated. When I I remember when I just came originally, I moved to the US. That was my first point of destination. I was living in Orlando at that time. And using my background, I thought, okay, so what can I do so I can feel, first, I can feel at home. And second, I can have a good use of my time because I made so many mistakes as an international student. So, I couldn't start studying right away. So I had some time. And what I decided to do is to collaborate with the Legal Aid Society on a volunteer basis. I did it because I just wanted to use my time in a good way. I wanted to learn a little bit of how law worked in the new country. But what I found, it was so much appreciation. I was giving some hours and they were giving me so much support. Later on, they gave me letters of recommendation. Later on, they, helped me to find jobs and things like that. So definitely what you're saying is volunteering is a great way to become part of a new country, overcome imposter syndrome. And also you said something else about that the embracing empowerment, like reclaiming the new place, something like that.
Sure. But the third thing is the networking. And this is completely underestimated.
Yeah.
Because when you volunteer somewhere, again, those people don't have to be there, but they get to see your heart, you get to see their heart. And if eventually conversations begin, oh, I've started a little business, maybe the other people come by with their friends and buy something from your business. Mm-hmm. Perhaps, someone else says, oh, I volunteer here. And you go, what's that like? And you bring one of your friends to that volunteer situation, and you cross-pollinate. You meet more people. The more people you meet, the more people you communicate with, the more people who can support you, whether it's emotionally, financially, or in any other way.
Yes.
That brings you to the feeling of home.
And I love it because volunteer means so many things. Among those, closing the circle, you received a blessing. You were able to, to be in a place that you wanted to be. Now you can help that community. And then it takes me to a second thing. You finally become part of it. You own your space. You own your space and I guess that's how you can start defeating this imposter syndrome. And if I was the interviewer I would love to be, I would have asked you first, what's the imposter syndrome? Because we're talking about it and many people may not know.
I'm thrilled. I cleared a little time in my schedule because I know how valuable all our time is. Imposter syndrome is the fact that you get a job or you get that beautiful wife or you get that beautiful husband and you don't feel that you're good enough. And usually this is because of childhood, whether it was your mother, your father, your grandmother, a teacher, a coach, someone told you, no, don't take any chances, don't take any risks, don't speak up, you're not good enough. Now, those things are very true when you're chasing a toddler, who's going to be running towards a hot stove. Mm-hmm. But those sort of things stay in people for decades.
Okay.
So we have to be able to identify what is real and what is subconscious. And imposter syndrome is if you got that new job, you got that new job because you put in the hours, you put in the time, you were good at your last job, you interviewed well, you did all those things right, and yet here you are walking into this new job thinking you're not good enough. And you're writing emails for 45 minutes that you could have written in 45 seconds because you're looking to be better than you think you are yet. Mm-hmm. But by doing that, you're self-sabotaging because there's 7 hours of more work that need to be done that day. Spending 45 minutes on an email is not going to get it done.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I help people identify A, where they're wasting time in their life, B, where they're beating themselves up in life, mm-hmm. and C, reminding them, oh, you did this, you did this, you did this. Oh, it sounds like you're pretty qualified for that job. So what are you going to do on Monday? How are you going to structure your day? And I take out their iCalendar or their G calendar, and we go half an hour for emails, twice a day. And you're not going to pick up your phone every time there's a notification. There's certain simple rules. I give clients egg timers.
Yeah.
So if they're working on a task that needs to get done that hour, anyone who walks by their desk or their office knows that the egg timer is on. Tanya's working on her task. I'll come back in half an hour.
Yeah, that's good.
Because the interruptions are what kill the next generation. My generation, it's a little easier to teach, but your daughter's generation, they're growing up with an iPhone in their hands. They're used to that dopamine effect where, bing, you've got a notification. Oh, I got a like on Instagram. Well, if I don't get a DM on Instagram, they're not going to be a customer, Tanya.
Yes.
You can't eat likes. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
But some people do go searching for them. So we need to break the patterns from childhood to get over imposter syndrome. So I call it success syndrome because that sounds a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And it gives people the visualization that they can be successful instead of worrying. Again, fear. Mm-hmm. Fear, there's an acronym for fear that says false events appearing real. And it's so true. What we worry about most of the time doesn't come true. So if we can say that out loud first thing in the morning for a week, hey, I'm worrying about stuff that hasn't come true. Maybe I should visualize what success looks like.
Yeah.
And that's what I help people with.
That's awesome. I've heard once that fear is a very poor use of imagination. And I think it's true because fears are, things that haven't happened yet, but torment us in a terrible way. So why will we use and put that energy of us in that when we can direct our energy into growing something good for our lives? And I definitely, I wanted to extract that concept from you because we talk so much about the imposter syndrome, but sometimes we are not really aware of what exactly it means and how it can affect us. And as an immigrant, yes, it affects us because we sometimes maybe believe that we're not good enough to succeed in a new environment. And we kind of like cut our own wings before we even start flying. So it's kind of like, yeah, right, important. I wanted to extract that concept to you because once we have that clear, we can start identifying and kind of know what we can do to avoid that.
I've learned a lot along the way. I've got my share of certifications. I've worked with people in marginalized societies for many decades now. And lately I've been working with some people in corrections to help the inmates when they get out so that they have a support network. And that's kind of parallel similar to what you do, because if someone's been in jail for 20 years, they have never had a smartphone or a phone at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they, they're going to look for a phone booth on the corner that's not there anymore.
Yes.
They don't know how to get health benefits.
Yes.
Or all these other things that are essential for success, especially someone who has not had those life skills. And we've had this rapid change in society that we need to, acknowledge that it's almost taken for granted. Mm-hmm. Again, that someone can text. Mm-hmm. Or for example, if I call you on the phone, maybe you don't even answer the phone. There's a whole generation that refuses to answer the phone. They will only WhatsApp or chat or message or email, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So if you went to jail 20 years ago and you're calling up someone on the phone, I've called up businesses on the phone who don't answer the phone. And I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And what, in regards of that, the parallel that exists between someone that just going back to insert in the regular society and someone who's coming from a different country, I think is this. We are all going through journeys, and somehow we are all immigrants. Sometimes which our journeys are geographically takes us from one place to another one, and sometimes those journeys are internal, and it's a matter of uh, adjusting to a new situation despite we are not even going to a different place. It's so we are all immigrants and we all go through similar pains, and sometimes we all confront this syndrome, this imposter syndrome. Now, many of the people that is watching, if they have ever experienced this, they know that you can help them to figure it out and kind of like guide them through getting out of it. Now, I want to ask you a final question because I know that we need to be mindful of our the time. I want to ask you something. Is there any instance where the imposter syndrome is positive?
Yes. Actually, 70% of the people with imposter syndrome are hugely efficient, but the problem is they're going to suffer from burnout because they're so concerned about writing the perfect email, about having the extra conversation about the project, about documenting the process, that they're working late at work, and then they're going home and they're working from 8 o'clock till midnight because they don't feel they're getting it all done because of that imposter syndrome. They're looking at the one thing they didn't get done that day instead of the 19 things they did get done, and it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. So even though they're high achievers and they do very well for a short period of time, yes, in the new position, eventually they just, they'll lose their marriage. They'll stop communicating with their children. Or they start getting snippy at work because if I'm working this hard, why shouldn't everybody else work this hard?
Yeah.
And it's just I call it a negative cycle. We can either have positive cycles in our life or negative cycles. So we can use our imposter syndrome for a little bit of energy, mm-hmm, right when we get that new relationship or that new job. But we have to be conscious of it. And this is why people work with executive coaches, is because everybody needs a coach. Even I have a coach, Tannia.
Yes, it's true. And we don't, in Latin America, we don't really have the culture of coaching. We don't really have the culture of mentorship. And my first contact with a mentor has been now. With Evan Carmichael is being part of this group. I found several people that I can, look up to and that I can extract lessons for life, for business. But before that, I've never really had that. And I think that I could have used some help on the way. It could have saved me from making many mistakes, and it could have saved me time and financial resources. So definitely I recommend to all those immigrants that are arriving to a new country, kind of like leave those beliefs behind that you can do it all alone. We are social people. We work better when we are in a group, when we have support, when we find people that can help us to move into the next phase in a more efficient and timely manner. So definitely be open to that possibility to hire someone that can fill that gap. And because when we come to a different country, we come with this desire to make it happen, to be successful. And sometimes all these imposter syndromes, this burnout, this overwhelming kind of like worry us and made us to forget about why we came. So don't allow that happen to you. Identify what's going on. Find people that can help you, like Coach Ron and many other in your community. Now we have these amazing tools and YouTube and so many things that can help us to deal with all these issues with someone. Someone can help and finally do what you came to do, which is strive to, which is find that life status, that life quality that you were not having. So that's the
One of my,
goal.
that's phenomenal advice. One of my favorite things in life, and this happens all the time. I'll have a client go, because of you, I maxed out my retirement plan and can afford more coaching. And I said, no, that's because of you. I just reminded you of what you had.
Oh, that's beautiful. Exactly. It's amazing. I'm so happy that we had this opportunity to talk, and I really hope we can have more because I see so many ways that you can really help immigrants to switch their mindset and become more efficient, more well adapted. Because the thing is, you don't want to fit, you want to belong, you want to embrace the new
I,
culture and the new country.
I'll make you an offer right now, Tanya. When you run a 3-day challenge, I'll come in and teach the growth mindset to your group for free,
All
no
right.
charge. Okay?
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
that and
That's
and
awesome.
we will touch some people. Okay?
That would be awesome. I'll take your
It's been
word.
such a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
I've got to get on with my day because that's that's
I
life.
know. It's perfect.
But
I
thank
love
you
it.
very much.
Thank you, Coach. I send you a big hug. And thank you so much to all those who are with us. Your attention is a great gift. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You